Hey everybody, Unqualified Typist here, your soon-to-be favorite keyboard aficionado that is wholly unqualified to give expert opinions, but likes to share them anyway. And I am back from a short hiatus that was somewhat unintentional. But let's not dwell on that. Today, we're going to be looking at the Gateron Oil Kings, a titan in the mechanical keyboard hobby. These switches can be considered one of the best selling enthusiast switches ever since their release in early 2022, still topping some vendors' sales list according to KBD News sales aggregated data. These were the first switch outside of Gateron's ink family to have an ink bottom housing. Now you might ask yourself, what even is ink? Am I talking about a pen or something of the sort? No. Ink is a proprietary material designed by Gateron, used in some of their most famous switches like the Black Inks. I think it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the Oil Kings have become a legend in the hobby, being held up as an excellent switch, and one of the most famous switches ever if you want to achieve a thocky build. So why don't we have a closer look at them? The Gateron Oil Kings are a linear switch that possess factory lubing, a top housing made out of nylon PA66, the famous ink bottom housing, a palm stem, a pre-travel of 2mm, and a total travel of 4mm. They have an actuation force of 55 grams, and they have a bottom force that is a bit contentious. Now Gateron will tell you they have an 80-gram bottom out force, but that seems to be incorrect according to measurements done by some people in the hobby. In reality, they seem to be closer to a 65-gram bottom out, which is a whole lot more approachable to most people. And that just gives me a small moment to shout out a legend in the mechanical keyboard hobby. I want to give a quick shout out to Theremin Goat. Their website is amazing for all their amazing reviews and all the data they accumulate, and I would not be here without them. But back to the switches. They have a 20mm single stage black plated spring, which I believe is just aesthetic, and they go for about 65 cents per switch, making them without a doubt a pricier switch. Now there's definitely some vertical wobble with some minor horizontal wobble, and the keycaps show some clearly visible wobble, but I personally feel like it does negatively affect the typing experience. There's some light contact, but honestly it isn't very audible, and nor do you feel it, so no worries here. Tiny disclaimer before our sound test: the sound of your keyboard will depend on how you build it. Things such as mounting style, foam utilization, plate material, all of those will alter the sound of your keyboard, and that should be kept in mind. I've put up all the specs of my keyboard on screen right now. I'm gonna be honest, I was scared I was falling for the hype when I first got these switches. They were being recommended literally everywhere. The reviewers were hyping them up, people on the mechanical keyboard subreddit were hyping them up. There was just a general sentiment that these were the linear switches to get if you were in the market for some. So much so that even after getting my sample of 10 switches and really testing them out, I was still unsure if I truly liked them, or if the hype was getting to me. But I bit the bullet, I bought more, and I gave them time to convince me that they're truly good. But now, I can confidently say that the Oil Kings are undoubtedly excellent switches. They are insanely smooth stock, only needing lubing if you want to tame the sound somewhat. The typing feels incredible, it's crisp without excessive weight, nor is it too light, and it feels full-bodied. These are one of the classics when talking about hotkey switches nowadays, meaning that these are deeper sounding switches. Personally, in a foamless board, or a board with little foam like my Tofu 60, these switches take on a slightly brighter sound profile, a little higher pitched. Of course, there are no HMX switches with their clacky nor high pitched sound, but they have a certain brightness in their still deep and bassy sound that I find quite enjoyable actually in a less foam filled build. But they become truly deep and thocky in a full foam board. I've tried them in my Rating 75 with full foam and they sound amazing. For the modern Switch market, these are expensive switches. There are cheaper alternatives that would meet most people's desires, but I find that they still have a place in the hobby as a good switch from a large reputable manufacturer. Oh, but I would be remiss to say, as I teased in my previous video, I have to mention that I had to put a larger, heavier spring in the switch I used for my spacebar. Don't know if that's a keyboard problem on my end or a general problem. And it's only a 6.25U spacebar, you know, standard size, so keep that in mind if you decide to use these switches. Well, I've said my piece. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. I've been Unqualified Typist, and I'll see you in a much sooner, hopefully, next upload.